You would have
Just like Arsenal. Technical difficulties. Oh man.
Is it up? I think.
Is Art done or is Art joining us later?
Art was supposed to join at 6.
Ah, okay. Well, so that went by the boards.
So yeah, I think we're back up now. I think it's
Okay.
all right. I've got the notification.
Let me check.
You don't think it's because you're hosting, do you? Because usually I host and we have no problems.
Ah, okay. Now
Oh,
Sam, I still see
right.
Sam there.
No, we are live. I have to refresh the entire page, but we are live.
Okay. Well, welcome. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We are. No, I'm getting the replay. So um, it is what it is. Anyway, welcome back. We were going through those of you who have done the hop with us over the streaming issue that we've had intermittently today. Here we go. I've just clicked on the wrong link, so we've still got some people. There we are. And now, yeah, here we are. Okay, we are back. All right, and we had two followers across the hop. So thank you for staying with us. When we were so rudely interrupted, Jacob was talking us through what he expects from the new set. Obviously, Kieran Tierney's been around. Our new set of fullbacks, and he was working on the Tierney side. And let's talk a little bit about the Tomiyasu side. Um, and I think that's where we left the ether, so to speak.
Yeah, I'll go back a moment just to start of him because I don't know where it cut out. So yeah, Tomiyasu looks like he will be the more reserved of the fullbacks. He's more likely to slot in, kind of help shore things up, not overexpose us. However, he's a very fast player from what I've seen of him. He has got pace. He will be able to add something. His recovery speed looks incredible. So we can still play the ball out to him. He can still take his upfield. It doesn't look like this player he's going to get to the byline and put crosses in, but he still gives us an option to drive up through the pitch, and he looks like someone who's capable. Kind of, he might drive and come into the centre of the pitch. We know he has played at centre back a bit. He's comfortable in the middle of the pitch. So he might give us an option to kind of drive up the byline a bit or drive into midfield to pass it on to someone else. So I think he is going to add. I think some people portrayed him as someone who's just going to sit in a back three and not move out of that as the rest of the team attack. I think he will add different elements to it. And again, like if there is someone running down on him at that side, he has got the pace to deal with it. He looks, I think he really has a bit of, yeah. We now have a pretty fast back line, um, and it will be interesting to see, particularly aerially, how he adds to our defense because I think that is something that with David Luiz leaving is going to be missed. However, if between the signings, Gabriel can play more this year, and if Tomiyasu can add to that, then hopefully we mitigate that loss from Louise in the air.
All right, Ryan. Let's look at this though. Let's put the pieces together because um, they've all got to cohere. We were just talking about you were started talking about a keeper who's better at distribution, and we've got two center backs in front of him who are better at breaking pressure with the ball at their feet, either passing or dribbling out. What does that do for the manager's decision of the midfield? Who does he play in front of those three? And how did he deploy them? And let's take us through the different formations. Um, let's start with the three at the back option. Who's your three, and then who's in midfield in front of them, and how does our Arsenal attack from that, given this new 11 we've been talking about?
As a back three, yeah.
Let's start with the back three, and then we'll go through a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-3-3.
So I think with a back three, you could play Gabriel left centre back, White middle centre back, Tomiyasu as a right-sided centre back, and then at right wing back you could probably have Saka or Ainsley could play Maitland
True.
Niles there.
True.
On the left, you have Tierney or Tavares. In the middle, you could have Partey and Smith Rowe. I think the formation that Arteta and Team Arteta played on Saturday with Odegaard and Xhaka, I think would have worked if it was Partey, because he could cover the ground, covering for Odegaard. So if it was Partey and one of Smith Rowe and Odegaard, and then further forward you have either Odegaard or Smith Rowe, Pepe and Aubameyang, I think that would be a quality 11. And
For 2-3-1 now.
Tomiyasu right back, White, Gabriel, Tierney. I think that pretty much chooses itself.
Mm-hmm.
Midfield, I think you go with Xhaka, Partey, or Partey and Lokonga.
What's the difference in those pairs? How would you use those pairs? How would they work together?
I think Lokonga would be a lot more athletic than Xhaka, and I think probably be better suited to playing in the Premier League with the type of players that are in the Premier League at the moment. So I think Lokonga and Partey would be the more athletic, ball playing type of team, and then Xhaka would be the ball player. But you don't really need that ball player if both of your centre backs can play out, because I think it mitigates the fact of having ball playing centre backs, because if you only need one midfielder to come and collect the ball that way, you can have more of an attacking midfielder in a 4-3-3, which I assume you're going to ask me about anyway. But in a 4-2-3-1, you have a ball player midfielder next to a more dynamic. So Sambi would be the ball player, Partey would be the more dynamic, Xhaka obviously. And the same with Elneny. We can say he's got his limitations, but he is quite athletic, and he does have quite a big engine on him. And then moving further forward, I don't think you can look past Smith Rowe on the left, Odegaard, Saka, and Aubameyang through the middle. I think that would be my 4-2-3-1.
Okay. Now 4-3-3. You've said you would put Partey at the base. Who are your two forwards? It kind of almost sorts itself. Smith Rowe on the left, Odegaard on the right. Is that how you look at it?
In my two number 8s, I'd have Smith Rowe, Odegaard.
Okay.
And then further forward, I would have Martinelli, Aubameyang, Pepe, or Saka.
Or Saka on the right. Okay.
Yeah. I think because having Smith Rowe on the left side interchanging with Martinelli can go into the middle, become a second striker. Tierney can fly up the outside. Smith Rowe be that creative player in the half space on the left. Odegaard in the half space on the right. Tomiyasu will come inside, form that defensive midfielder role with Partey in front of White and Gabriel, and we can play such a high line because of the athleticism in the back four. With Holding and Mari, you can't really play a high line.
No.
Because they won't recover. But if you've got White and Gabriel, Tierney, Tomiyasu, they're going to get back quickly, and you can have a higher line. Because we did it before. We played such a high line with Wenger, with Cassiani, Bellerin, Gibbs. So I think that helps a lot more as well by suffocating the opponent in their half, and then we've got the creative players and the goal scorers on the pitch to break them down.
Now let's talk about this. This is a word that keeps coming up, layer by layer by layer, starting with Ramsdale, certainly with White and Gabriel, and now moving up and up. I keep hearing athletic, and it seems that piece by piece, it's been a very slow process. But at least with Tomiyasu, it seems like you now have an 11 that is athletic. You don't have one guy who's like, let's say Pablo Mari, like, okay, we got to protect this guy, or Holding or Chambers. As you said, we gotta sit back because we don't want to expose these guys. It seems when he gets that 11, they can attack. And that sounds kind of criminal because we haven't seen anything like that so far this season. But it's only been 3 matches. COVID's kept half of these guys out. But it does seem that when Arteta can finally put those players together, he would have the option of saying, let's go, let's press, let's take the match to the opponent, which we have not seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to put a little polish on this. It's hard. It's hard, but it does seem that there's possibilities there that we just haven't seen so far because of limitations.
Yeah, we've got a squad now that even if one player is out, you don't mind the other coming in. Like if Tierney's injured again, I don't mind Tavares coming in because they're similar players.
Mm-hmm.
It's only in the middle of the pitch where you think, oh, really? Yeah. Like if Sambi is injured or Partey is,
here comes El Neni, exactly. Right?
Yeah, it's like,
or here comes Mari and Holding, and right.
Yeah, like even at right back now, if Tomiyasu's not there, you could literally put Maitland-Niles there.
True.
And you wouldn't even notice. Like on the right wing, if it's not Saka, it's Pepe. On the left, if it's not Smith Rowe, it's Martinelli.
And actually, you raise a point there. I hadn't thought about this now. Let's say you had an injury at one of your center backs. Tomiyasu can play center back. You can put him in, and then you could put Niles at right back for just a match. If you have to do that for one match, and then you're not suffering the way, I'm assuming like, well, if we got to go Holding or Mari, it's like, there's that big drop off. The versatility that Tomiyasu brings actually papers over some cracks.
Yeah, and Chambers as well. You could play Chambers as centre back because I'm fairly certain Chambers is better as a centre back, a ball playing centre back, than he is a right back, in my personal opinion. So I think would be fine in certain positions, but I think central midfield is the one where you look and think we could do with an extra body in there that's better than what we have, obviously.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about our forward line. I mean, we can work them. We can talk about, obviously, they have trouble scoring goals because we've talked about this ad nauseum. They're not getting opportunities to score goals. They're not getting through balls. They're not getting put into positions because we're having so much trouble getting out from the back. But I want to turn your attention to something else this has been frustrating for years. This goes back to Wenger. I remember Alexis Sanchez just, trying to press one and just windmilling, like, come on, guys, come on, work with me. This team has not been cohesive in pressing. Do they have the talent now, if they can move everybody forward, if they can move their back line forward, if they can move their midfield forward, to be an effective pressing team? Because they don't do that very well.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying before. With Saka, Smith Rowe and Odegaard, they were top 3 in successful pressures at Arsenal last season. Through our Y Scout, me and Sam was looking at it. Them 3 pressures in the final third were like the most successful players we had in that role. So you have the 3 best pressing behind Aubameyang. If they the 3 of them are relentless at pressing, so we'd win the ball back a lot higher up the pitch, which eases the defensive load on our centre backs. And I think that makes life infinitely better for an Arsenal fan. They don't have to watch the ball being pelted at our goal.
Right, but that speaks to playing those kids more. Again, you said Smith Rowe on the left, Saka on the right, probably Odegaard in the center, and that's one thing Odegaard showed from the beginning until his ankle injury, was that he was tracking all over the park.
Yeah, that was the problem, because I noticed it in pre-season a little bit. Xhaka gets annoyed pretty quickly at the front line not pressing quick enough, and he goes on his own. And that was Lacazette doing it. He wasn't pressing quick enough, and that I think with Odegaard.
I want to break your thought, but I want to share something with you. Apparently, this is breaking it. Boubacar Kamara is refusing to join Newcastle.
Yeah, he's refusing to join Wolves as well, apparently. So
He's hanging the sign. Please. I wonder if he would turn us down if we would only ask, right?
right. But if we had a competent director of football, we might have signed him by now.
All right. Well, anyway, I broke. You were having such a wonderful thought about 3 Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Saka. That is something. Those players are already here. Let's continue talking about them.
I think the press should always be initiated by the number 10. So if we're pressing as a 4-4-2, so like the 2 wingers are on the fullbacks, you've got the 1 striker on 1 centre back, the number 10 on the other centre back, and it leaves the gap in the middle of the pitch. So then one of your midfielders covers that. They can't get out. They literally can't get out of their half unless they kick it long. And now we've got the players at the back that can win headers and are like physically imposing with Gabriel, with Tomiyasu. We can win the ball back in more ways than what we're doing now, because I don't know if you've noticed it yourself. We don't engage quick enough.
No,
we don't.
No,
engage,
that's true.
We don't engage. If someone's running at the back 4, they let him run and run and run, and they get to the penalty area, then they can't make a tackle because they could give away a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got the players now that engage straight away. The likes of Tierney doesn't let his winger go past him easily. Gabriel doesn't let anyone go past him easily. They engage at the top of the pitch, where it's less likely to end up in a goal scoring opportunity if they make a mistake or give away a penalty. They'd rather give away a free kick on the halfway line.
Okay.
Which works out.
Goals. This has been the probably, even when Arteta improved. We've talked about this when it was Aubameyang's time to renew his contract, how over reliant this club has been on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And then last year, when he has his COVID issues and he has his family issues, and he's not the mule we've expected, the goal scoring horse, the club suffers. And then obviously, well, can we really draw any conclusions from these first 3 matches, just given that he's had no service, or he wasn't even available for the first match because he had COVID? But Arsenal needs to score. They haven't scored. But even coming into the season, even when they were creeping up the table, scoring goals is a problem. How do they get around that? How do they get over that hump? How much of that is mental? How much of that is technical? And how much of that is just down to the manager not putting the right people on the pitch?
I think it's a mixture of all of it. I think a mixture of confidence. You saw Aubameyang's confidence against Wolves was sky high. How many times have you seen him in that position? He takes an extra touch, tries to go up the line and cross it, instead of whacking it into the top corner. Last season, he would have taken it up the line to cross it to someone else. But then he smashed it into the top corner. So confidence is a big part of scoring goals. Technically, we've got the players to create the chances. But as I said, with the goalkeeping issue of not being able to play out, they're always having to come to collect the ball deeper. And then trying to get further up the pitch isn't possible, because we've got so many players to bypass. You have to play 3 or 4 intricate passes to get out and to create an opportunity. Whereas when we saw against Ramsdale, we played 1 pass to Odegaard and we're pretty much on their back 4, which always happens to us, if you've noticed.
Right.
So I think that will help. Technically, just making sure our players are further up the pitch where they can do the most damage. And I think we've got to create the right chances for the striker. And I said this before, Aubameyang is a four chance striker. If he doesn't get 4 chances, he's not going to score. That's just the odds of it. His XG the last season of Emery was 2.43. That's really high, and he outperformed himself. The first season of Arteta, it went down to a 1.89. And last season, it was a 0.71.
So less than half of the previous season.
That's the chances he's getting. He's getting half a chance a game. which for Aubameyang, he needs 3 or 4 to warm up to score.
True, it's true.
When
For
he
better,
did
for worse,
score,
it's true, right?
Yeah, against Benfica in the Europa League, how many chances did he have before he scored? 3, and then scored. Like Leeds United, he had 7 chances and scored 3. So if you don't create him chances, he's not going to score. And it's the same with Lacazette. I said to Sam, I know Sam doesn't really like Lacazette playing centre forward for us, but you put him in a position, he's going to score. You can't throw the ball in the box against 6'4" Van Dijk and expect him to score a header, which is what we've been doing. Because if you saw last season, Lacazette scored 4 goals in 4 games at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And then we stop creating chances, and he doesn't score. And that's a major part of our striker problems. We will start scoring goals. I was looking at stats because I'm so big on the goal scoring stats for Arsenal at the moment. We created 45 big chances last season. 45. Brighton created 47. Newcastle created 52. So the difference in chances created, obviously these teams don't have Aubameyang. They don't have one of the best finishers in the world. If they did, they'd probably finish above us.
But we haven't, and not maximizing them right now. And really not all last year either. So
we're wasting his career basically. I need to put my graphic up.
Please do. You can do that.
We've got some breaking news.
Oh, what you got? You're here for it.
Hector Bellerin has been given a green light to join Real Betis by
okay. There was some shakiness, last minute snag. Oh no, the Betis move is not official. Now it looks like it is official, or will be, is about to be official. Okay, that's good.
Fabrizio Romano, Real Betis are finally closing the deal for Hector Bellerin after a medical completed today. Salary.
There we go. Look at that graphic. It's all flash.
Yeah. I'm ordering a Real Betis shirt as well with Bellerin on the back.
Okay, well that
I've got my Feyenoord shirt, so
I'm still. It's probably 0.001% chance, but as long as it's not negative infinity, I'll take it. I'm still hopeful that maybe with Kamara's hitting the wall at Wolves and hitting the wall at Newcastle, maybe somebody at Colney's got some synapses firing. That would be a piece of that would be juice after this midday. That would, to start with Tomiyasu, to end with another midfielder. I think that would change. It would change my mindset. I don't know about you. I think it would change yours. It would change everybody's.
Me and you, we've always said about Xhaka, right? He gets sent off and then he has 20 incredible games.
Right.
He needs to do that now. If he's to be our starting centre midfielder, he has to have that kind of boost, that kind of mentality where I've fucked up now, I need to repay the club, repay the fans.
Right.
Because when he plays at the Emirates again and he doesn't, he's going to get abused like he did before.
Right.
Remember, he got booed off the pitch.
Right.
That will happen again if he doesn't outperform after twerking for Mourinho, after saying
and
publicly.
He did.
Yeah,
I'm laughing because it's true.
All over Instagram, he wanted to go to Roma. His agent said it's a shame he didn't get to work with Mourinho. That kind of thing. And then he took the piss even more by saying...
Home is where the heart is, right?
Yeah. Get out of here. Home is where they reject ridiculous bids from Italian teams. And so if he doesn't perform to a very, very high level, I know he's capable of doing it. But if he doesn't, then...
He's back in a bad place, yeah.
Yeah. Because fans are back now. There's nowhere to hide. Yeah. And I will be there at Norwich, so I'm expecting a big...
And there's nowhere for any of them to hide, right?
No, and I think that was another part of Aubameyang's problem. He didn't have fans. He's a showman. He likes the limelight. He likes doing all that kind of thing. With no fans, who's he got there to perform for? I think with Aubameyang, it's all mentally as much as home problems as well.
Well, talking about that, Norwich is still a ways away. I think they're still licking their wounds from that battering at City, and probably the less we say about that, the better. That was a lineup, it was not the best lineup chosen. It was not a lineup I'm sure the manager wanted to choose, given the injury and COVID limitations. It did not match up against, if not the best, one of the best teams in the Prem. They were just outclassed. Coming to the Norwich, can a team coming off a loss like that generate internal confidence in these next couple of weeks to be able to hit the pitch aggressively and say, we have no memory. First match of the season, we're 0-0. We forgot everything. We have amnesia. Here's Norwich City on our ground, and we're going to jump all over them. Is that possible? How possible is that?
I think it's very possible. I think Arsenal are going to have the siege mentality of it's everyone against us kind of thing. And I think Arteta's been trying to instill that recently with all the COVID cases, all the first team players out. It's like, give us a break kind of thing. Everyone's against us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the players are going to want to give a performance. It's at the Emirates. It's going to be sold out. And they're going to want to perform. Hopefully we have our players back, and fingers crossed there's no injuries over the international break, and we absolutely thrash them and put a good. I don't want a performance where it's a 1-0 and we don't deserve to win kind of thing. We're lucky, so that would be nice.
A call for Dembele. Have you seen anything? I heard a rumor way at the beginning of the morning that he was out there. He might be a target, and then I've heard nothing since. Are we all just fishing? Are we all just fishing at this point? I heard he was available and was looking to move this morning. But that was first thing in the morning.
Let me have a look.
Let's see here.
Well, Lacazette's not going to Barcelona. They are signing Luc de Jong from Sevilla.
No, he's going to play out his contract. I think that much is pretty clear. As much as we'd like a striker, at this point, Eddie, we're going to have to hear in the next 30, 40 minutes that Eddie Nketiah has miraculously come to earth, realized he needs playing time, and has accepted, say, Brighton's offer, and has decided to play with the opportunity in hand rather than pining for some kind of fantasy wage and spot, which really doesn't seem to exist. Really never seems to have existed.
Yeah, Eddie's a weird one because surely he's going to want to play for a season. Like the World Cup is next year. If he has a good season, you never know what can happen.
Right.
Like you look at Patrick Bamford. He has a half decent season in the Premier League, and now he's in the England squad.
Mm-hmm.
If Eddie goes to Brighton or Palace and
Southampton somewhere, right?
Yeah, he scores goals. We know he's a poacher. We know he's capable of scoring goals. I don't know why he doesn't. Why he's. Because apparently he failed to agree terms with Palace. I don't understand that. Like, you're in the last year of your contract. You're going to a club with Vieira, who's going to build an attacking team around you. You've got Zaha, Olise, all these sorts of players. Why do you just... You're
starting in the Prem, which you're not right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're not going to see anything close to that here, staying where you are.
Yeah, and if he scores goals, who knows what can happen for him. Like, it's mind-boggling because he could score 15 goals next season for Palace and get an England World Cup squad.
Mm-hmm.
Or because Palace create a lot of chances. I watched them the other day. They just need a striker. They need someone who's going to score goals.
Well, now they have Odsonne Edouard, right? So
Yeah, which
he
is
gets all the benefit.
Yeah, if they had Eddie, he could have scored 20 for them. He's not going to fit the way we play, but he would probably fit the way they play. And scoring goals for them, gets in the England squad, goes to the World Cup. Lo and behold, you're now considered not a prospect, you're a Premier League proven goal scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think he's going to have the offers next summer because no one's going to be looking for a striker now because unless Brighton don't sign anyone.
Right, isn't this something that could also other clubs hear this? This guy's got an ego, and maybe an outsized ego, and maybe other clubs that might say, "Oh, well, you want to go to Palace," but they'll hear, "Oh, you were too rich for Palace's blood." Well, we're Brighton. Well, if you're going to turn them down, well, we're not going to bother. I mean, isn't he kind of closing doors for himself doing something like this? Maybe.
Yeah, not only that, but it's you're going to sit and wait a whole year of your career out because you want a better offer next summer instead of wanting to play.
Mm-hmm.
If it's me, I know I'm not Eddie Nketiah, but if someone offered me, if I was at Arsenal, it's my boyhood team, I've been at the club 10 years, but they're not playing me, and they're offering me out to other teams, and I've got a good offer to stay in London, stay in the Premier League, to start for a Premier League team, a consistent Premier League team. They've been in the Premier League a long time, and potentially do so well I can play for England. I'm taking that chance. But I don't understand it. I don't understand what his agents are telling him. Because, as Jacob said earlier, he's got the same agent as Balogun.
Yeah.
So obviously he knows that Arteta rates Balogun higher because he gave him a 5-year contract.
Right. And the club when it looked like they were going to lose Balogun, worked very, very hard to avoid that. So that Eddie should have seen all of that. Well, at the same time that Eddie was the third striker. Right. Yeah. It doesn't make sense, as you said.
Yeah, so if Arsenal don't sell Eddie, or Eddie doesn't leave, and we keep Balogun, one of them's going to miss out on a year of their career.
Mm-hmm.
And who's Arteta going to put his trust in? A player that's just signed a 5-year contract.
Sure.
Or a player that's got 10 months left. Do you know what I mean?
Who's showing ambition? That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Who's showing ambition and who's not? Yeah.
No one.
But let's focus Norwich, and then after that, another winnable match. I forget, and then Spurs. Who's in between? Is it Brighton?
Away.
Oh, it's Burnley. Yes. Now Burnley has not been an easy. Burnley's never been an easy result for this club. But speaking of, I'm going to hold this up to the camera. Here's your man. Let me put him up. There's your man, Hector Bellerin in a Betis top.
It's good news. It's a good move for him. I like the move. Gets to play for his boyhood team.
His dad's club. That's gotta feel good for him.
Yeah. So it's good news all around. Hopefully we can have an announcement now.
Let's see what's happening with Griezmann. If anything, the Griezmann is crossing the. I guess that one is still up in the air. The swap. Now, what would go in Barca's way? Is this just to reduce payroll? I mean,
Atletico and Barca are about to reach an agreement for Antoine Griezmann on loan with option to buy.
Interesting.
Well, now they're saying it's a done deal.
That moved quickly.
Barca get what, 500,000 off their wage bill a week?
Right.
So I suppose works out for them financially. Sam said he'd be back soon.
Oh, good. Well, he hasn't missed anything. We kind of run the rule on this club. Seems the women are doing well. Maybe we should devote a little more of the pod to them going forward.
Yeah, we should, because they're in the Champions League, so when we're not.
And they've got a new manager and new players, and
they've got the best striker in the world, haven't they?
Yeah.
Vivian Miedema. So, me and Sam watched them in pre-season against Chelsea, and their youth team is pretty good as well.
Wow.
They're young players. Yeah.
Let's bring them on. I'm all for it. Oh, this is all Arsenal. We're all Arsenal. So doesn't always have to be sour faces. So
no.
No.
I think I know we've not been that positive today. Really, we've been calling for people to be sacked and stuff. And
right.
It's not usually like us.
Well, we're trying to turn it here. We're trying to find some.
Yeah.
And that's starting to leaven. The more I think about it, if they can get the people together, and then that seems to be so frustrating with this club. They can never seem to get everybody on the pitch at the same time.
I think if they can do that, I think we'll be in a very, very good place. But again, they have to do it. They have to make sure they're all available.
Right.
Which means playing the reserves in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. Not the FA Cup, to be fair. I like that competition.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah,
they don't have. Obviously, they don't have Thursday football. Thank goodness. And we talked about how that's not going to be an excuse for them going forward. Now, the schedule should get a little easier. Even with Spurs coming up in 3 matches, there's easier matches after that. And you figure some confidence, being a derby, some pride. They should be competitive. They should be a competitive squad at minimum.
Yeah, I think that's the game where if we can get wins at Norwich, wins against Burnley, and then go into the Tottenham game flying, that game can turn our season around. That game will then give us confidence to go into the rest of the season. But yeah, we're here. We're back. Because 3 out of 3 wins, 9 points, back on the board. Hopefully, and it's just a stepping stone, isn't it? It's like it's a trampoline effect.
Right.
You jump, confidence is flowing, enthusiasm is higher.
Well,
the fans are back on side. That's all you need.
Do they have the people? I mean, we talked about this, that, Aubameyang's worn the armband and he's not the traditional captain. As you said, he's a performer. And we've talked in the past, maybe Tierney should have it. I'm not so concerned about captaincy. I'm more interested about leadership. And that often that doesn't require an armband. That just requires having a core. And I think it takes more than one person. You need a core who's motivated to lead by example, especially with this club as fragile as it is emotionally. We know Tierney fits that category. So many new faces. Who do you look at with the other 11, given that 11 we talked about?
As in leaders?
As in players who can lead on the pitch, or both, really, either verbally but really by example. Just kind of say to others, look, follow me, follow my lead. We're going to play our way back into this, obviously.
Tierney, I think against Benfica, when we was needing 2 goals in the last 10 minutes, he come up clutch. He's one that you can count on. He's reliable. Odegaard.
Okay.
Dragged us through that West Ham game.
True.
3-0 down, he dragged us through it. Saka, obviously, for such a young player, he's got such a wise head on young shoulders. I think Smith Rowe could really lead by example, not so much vocally, but on the pitch. I'm going to drive us forward. I think Gabriel could do it. I think he's got the stature of the man mountain type of stature. I think he captained the under-23s the other day, so I think he could do it. Partey, I
Mhm.
think Partey has that aura of I'm the best player in the team kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like I'm good kind of confidence, and I think that will drive other players on the team to follow him. So I think that's our leadership core.
Now, what about the keepers? Is that because I'm just asking because I noticed after the first match, it was West Brom. It was a cup match, but Ramsdale really seemed to have a rapport with all the players around him, and this was just the first time he'd ever played a match with the club. It seemed there was this instant chemistry, and it's like people looked
Yeah.
at him.
Excuse me.
No problem.
Yeah. I was reading. I think it was David Ornstein released an article about Ramsdale, and he's very universally well liked around football, like at his previous clubs in the England setup. And you could just tell by his behind the scenes signing video
Mhm.
that he's got that personality, the likable character. He's got an infectious smile kind of thing that do you just want him to do well. He's got that what I'm talking about. I can't explain it. Just the presence of you want him to do as well as he can, and you take to him like that. So I think his teammates would have seen that straight away, and
Mhm.
that's probably why you saw at the end of the game, first thing he did was go and hug Aubameyang.
Yeah, and that was the image I was referencing. This is his captain, probably the senior member of the club, the oldest member of the club, and here's the new guy, and there they are, like, yes, we did this. This is good. There was joy there, which we
Yeah,
just don't haven't seen with this club this year.
and he wears the shirt with pride. I think that's another thing about the signings we've made. Ben White wanted to be here, he's proud to wear the shirt. Ramsdale proud to wear the shirt. Odegaard wanted to be here. Like that's the sort of thing that I want to see in signings. Like they want to play for the badge, not for a paycheck.
Mhm.
We've signed too many players before because they want a high wage, basically.
Mhm.
So I do like the signings we made in that regard.
Yeah, I just do wish there was, and it's more to calm my fears about AFCOM injury. Sam is back. Sam can take this baton, um, so that they don't go on a run as they did last year. There were a couple of times where they were right about to threaten for top four, top five, and then for me, the turning point of that season was that Wolves match where they had dominated Wolves. They had a lead, you know, they were just doing what they wanted to. And then that red card right at the half gave him the penalty, gave Wolverhampton the penalty. Then they won when Arsenal was a man down. And it just deflated everything. All that momentum was just taken away. And part of that was because obviously being a man down, but we saw that with a club when they're thin, and this is why I think if I'm just hoping for the miracle midfield signing, I don't want to go build momentum and then watch them an injury or a red card just deflate everything, just undo, a real push.
No, and that's where we've fallen down in quite a few seasons, to be perfectly honest, because we always seem to go on a run up to a certain point, and then something seems to happen. Either something, an injury, suspension, um, personal issues, or whatever else. It just seems to take important people out of the team, and then we're back to the same old situation. So with a central midfielder, it's what 2.5 hours. We need something to
Yes,
pop
and I
up.
don't know if you saw this. We were talking about Kamara's apparently turned down Newcastle and is playing very hard to get with Wolves. So he's still out there. We were pining for him an hour, 90 minutes ago. Seems he's still available. So, I mean, this is why we're saying, like, come on, Arsenal, find
Yeah, I'm not.
have
I'm
some
not.
synapses fire. I mean, again, it's pie in the sky at this point, but the opportunities are still there. It's
Yeah, of course they are. It's the point where you're getting down to about 90 minutes. That's where you start worrying because ultimately you're gonna have to employ external doctors, external medical staff to go and
Mhm.
conduct medicals somewhere else. So you might not get the overall picture of what you would have thought in the first instance. It's just a case now that if Arsenal were to be doing anything, something needs to be coming up now. And with Kamara, as you say, the opportunity is right there. You could probably put Kamara in as the defensive midfielder, push Lukonga and Partey a bit further forward, or have one of Partey and either or Emil Smith Rowe or Erdegaard. So, from a fan's perspective, you can already plot out to see how the team can already shape up and how they can play with each other. Yet it
Mhm.
seems from an outside in perspective, it's it's a bit like what are they doing? Because they can't be happy with this squad, as I was saying earlier on today. You can't be happy with how this squad is. It's not a top six squad. Well, as a squad, as a first 11, yes. As a squad, no. As we all know, couple of injuries, we're back to square one. We've got people that don't slot into the system, and we're back to square one again. So
right,
I don't
right,
know.
and it's again, we're just beating the dead horse here. The prices on some of these players are very reasonable. Um,
Reasonable, they're bargains.
there are, I was being polite, but yes, they are. Kamara for 15 million is an absolute bargain.
Yeah,
Um,
like this guy will be running midfields for the next 10 years, 12 max. And if you get him in now, you can literally,
you have 2 weeks to incorporate him, right?
yeah, and you can sculpt him into a system that you think is going to be suitable. So with players between 18 and 21 years old, you're looking at them, you go, okay, we'll get you in, and you can be my person for the next 4, 5, 6 years
Right.
because because I can sculpt you into how I want you to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
And as we all know, players at that age are very impressionable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
That's
know.
a good point, and that's something I think I really look forward to. I mean, everything is crazy. COVID injuries, Olympics, as we said earlier, took so much of the club out. Some of these players are on international break, but a lot of them are not.
Hmm.
Arteta actually has a chance for a real second camp with a lot of the squad right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing. He he can he can install the philosophy more, but then it's a it's difficult because you can do it all in training, but it needs to transcend into the match. And essentially, we've seen in some of the games we play well for the first 15 minutes, and we think,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we can really kick on here, and this is how we should be playing. As soon as that first goal goes in, everything goes downhill, and it's a case now where with the so-called easier games, but we know in the Premier League there isn't an easy game as such. We really need to get that first goal and really get on top of the game because
Mm-hmm.
that's what we missed it at Brentford, missed it at Chelsea, missed it at City. Because I'm not being funny, City could have been got at that day. They could have. But it's just poor defending by us. And it's
Yeah,
we
they had a plan. They were trying to press. They had some effectiveness, and then again, they give up a cheap goal, and you could just see they're brittle emotionally. They're brittle,
yeah,
and they broke.
yeah.
Their heads
And
were down.
we
Right.
can we can say it's confidence and confidence is at the floor, but how many times can we say these people are confidence players? I know that if things aren't going your way, as especially as senior players, you need to be rallying your teammates, surely,
Sure.
to be. But it just doesn't come across like that, to be honest. The senior players, they hide. And I'm not going to go down the route of saying that, oh, they don't come out for media interviews, because they don't. They've got no choice in that. The media pick who they want to interview after games and things like
Hmm.
that. So that's an irrelevant point if people are going to try and go down that way. But even still, it's take responsibility. There's still the Arsenal pages, social media pages. They've still got their social media pages. It's I know we always say we don't want to see words, we want to see action. But sometimes after a hammering, just I'm sorry. And you
Hmm.
looked at that Arsenal team that went over to the away fans. They look flawed. They look grateful that them fans were there still clapping them, because if this was 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe,
Hmm.
them away fans would not be clapping them. I can guarantee that. They would be hammering them. But I don't know. It's
But I'll ask you something Ryan and I were discussing right before you came back on. So, who are those players who can, either through example or through rallying, steadying, or both, can say, "Hey, okay, if we have a shaky start, the ball goes off the post, um, can settle everybody and say, let's go, let's play the way we are capable of playing." Obviously, some names are obvious, but are there some that are not so obvious? I mean, we know Jacques is not going to be on the pitch. So, and we know Tierney is the obvious, this guy should be the captain. Who else do you look at in that projected 11 and say, this guy, we need him to step up and people rally around this guy?
in theory, you should have a column of them. So you should have, um, if Leno's going to be the starting keeper, he should be one rallying between him and the defense. You should have Rob Holding's experienced enough now and is apparently a part of the leadership group, so he should be rallying. Although he's not good enough to be there. Pablo Mari is another one that is experienced, should be rallying from the back line. Callum Chambers the same, experienced and should rally. Obviously, we spoke about Tierney. Then you're going into midfield. You have people like Partey. You should say Xhaka, but he's not going to be there. I'd like to see how Lokonga steps into that role, because obviously being a young captain at Ajax, it I'd like to
That's
see
true. He
how.
was their captain, right? At age 20,
Yeah.
right? Something crazy. Yeah.
So I'd like to see how he steps into that role. I don't want to put too much on Smith Rowe or Saka, because they're not.
They already have so much pressure on their shoulders anyway.
Yeah, exactly. If Aubameyang's out on the left, he should be leading by example, and again, Lacazette should be leading by example. But we just don't. We're too not, as I've discussed many times. We're too nice. We're too nice in the press. We allow teams to pick through us because we don't press. The front line, if you're looking at Aubameyang and Lacazette, are lazy in the press. Xhaka sits too deep, so the midfield can't go and squeeze the game up, and that drops the defense as well. So it's it's difficult, because obviously we can pinpoint players and go, you should be more vocal. It just baffles me, because sometimes you look at them out on international duty, and now the most vocal players on that pitch. You look at them at Arsenal, silence. So I just don't understand how the two transpire next to each other. To be perfectly honest, same player, two different mentalities in two different teams.
You just put your finger at something else. Leadership, that they're soft. I was just going through this and realizing when I'm just gonna lost actually kind of lost my train of thought. The fog, it'll come back to me in a moment. But too many questions. We're trying to spin the wheel here. Here it is. I know it's following. You were talking about the vocal leaders, right? That you have all these players and they're vocal and everything else. But I see a discrepancy, and we really got to hear this last year when COVID quieted the stadiums down. And here's a manager, Mikel is at the box. He's always standing up. He's on the edge. You can hear his instructions. Pass this way. Danny, Ceballos was almost like his mignonette on the field. Danny, do this. Xhaka, do this. Granit, do this. You can hear him directing the passes, right? And in some ways, it's almost like joystick or video controller football. Is there too much looking over the shoulder? Maybe. Is this a matter of the players need to be let go and just say, you have been trained. I'm going to let you execute.
This is where I've got conflicting feelings, because obviously they do the pre-match analysis of the other team, the analysis of what they want to do before the game. They go out to the training ground. They practice certain scenarios. They practice certain patterns of play, and how to get at the opposition. On game day, what I have a real issue with is that the players don't seem to act on the game plan. They'll do it in the first 10 minutes. Something goes wrong, then it goes to shit. There's nobody that's got that mental strength to pull it back and go, this is what we're doing. And
stick with the plan, right?
Yeah. And that's where I think Arteta is constantly then, from 10, 15 minutes, constantly out on the touchline going, this isn't what we've done. And too many a times we've had players come out after games and say, we didn't follow the plan.
That's true. That's true. Very often you hear that.
So for me, in that aspect, my issue is more with the players not being able to follow a plan. I've also got issue with players if they're not able to follow a plan. There's no improvisation to do a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much, plan's gone to shit. I don't know what we're doing now.
Is that because they're just overcome with the chaos, or is that because they're rigid?
But it's our self-imposed chaos. That's the thing. We shouldn't be in a self-imposed chaos. It's not like other teams have come to us and put us under. Well, you take City away, and probably Chelsea, to be honest, this season. But in a normal game, we don't get overcome by another team. So it's not that they are really putting us under pressure. It's just we put ourselves under pressure with errant passes out of the back line that go astray, and then we're instantly under pressure. It's just like there's nobody in the back line. Realistically, this goes back to the leadership column. If Leno's in goal and say Holding or Chambers make a error going out, he should be shouting at them, going, "Get it together, whatever, come on." That same shout should also be coming from midfield, because people can say, "Oh, there's captains on the pitch." There's one captain on the pitch. There should be 11 others. So if one person is slacking, the other 10 should be rallying around that player. Doesn't seem to happen at Arsenal. Happens to from what I can perceive, every other club, if something's going wrong, but not Arsenal.
Why is that, Ryan?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Lack
of discipline, I guess.
It's a valid point. I mean, this is they do seem to just crumble sometimes. They crumbled on the weekend. Just how quickly that first goal and then led to the second goal, which was even more ridiculous than the first one. It's just right. It's his phrase is they hide. I don't know. They hide, but well, maybe that's exactly right what they do. They hide, but they look at each other. There's like, who's here? Whose man is that? Whose job is that?
Yeah. So, just reading Twitter there, it looks like Kolasinac is staying.
Jeez. Unreal.
Runnison, Bellerin all look to be going soon. So.
Yeah, well, Betty's released photos of Hector in the shirt. I think that one's done.
Apparently, that was edited photo.
Ah,
not a real one. Chris Wheatley tweeted it, didn't he? I don't think it's real. Griezmann back to Atletico Madrid. Done.
wow.
So weird.
Just one way. There's nobody going in the other direction.
Oh, I need to put my
Your breaking news flash here. We'll come back in what, 2 minutes?
No, it should be all right now.
Okay.
Should be okay.
Runnerson, yay! All right.
Yeah,
well, it's gone away.
It's back up.
All right. So our breaking news: Runnerson is gone.
2, I think.
All right. Runnerson is gone. There we go. Yay. That was a move that didn't work. Now, fortunately, it wasn't very expensive, but boy, it led to a bad Europa match that we all had to suffer through.
Yeah. Did you remember that we did a watch along for the City game?
Oh yes,
those 3 mistakes.
That was the match, and we were just speechless.
YouTube has been on one today, hasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Wheatley has just confirmed it as if we beat him. It just came 16 seconds ago, and you already have flashed it out earlier. Runnerson confirmed, leaving. All right. One incoming would just change my whole day.
That's a weird thing to say at the end, isn't it? We wish Alex the best of health and success during his time in the Belgian top division.
Okay. Well, outgoings, okay. I'll take outgoings. I want one incoming, just one. I'm not greedy. I just want one. One. Give me a midfielder of all the many that are still out there. I don't think Eddie's going anywhere, unfortunately, so we're not going to get a striker, but bring me a midfielder. I'll feel better about life here.